Welcome back, YouTube world. I know it's been a while since we've done a video, but once again it is Matt for Pace Guitar Repair here. Got a Martin on the desk. Very rarely have we seen acoustic guitars on the desk. This guitar is in for a setup, and I know Ron has looked at this guitar already, but maybe we'll see if he can do some of his action on it again, where he kind of shows you. Apparently the strings are really high on this. I'm going to kind of get in here and show you just how high the bridge is. The bridge is really high, so I'm thinking that he's probably going to have to do some modification on that bridge piece. And of course we're going to have to do some modification to the nut here, just to get the strings to sit a little bit lower. So let's get to it. Let's get cracking. Alright, so like I said before, we are going to have to take that saddle down. Oh, I never get over that smell. Apparently Martin is making their guitars still with real bone saddles. That does give you the best tone. And Ron has taken this down the appropriate length, or the appropriate height, excuse me. And then we'll go back in and remeasure and check it out. Already, right off the bat, the height looks a whole lot better. Doing some preliminary measurements here. Just make sure, but yeah, from this angle the guitar definitely looks like that saddle is at a much better height than it was before. As you can see, the action here is a lot better. One thing I do want to point out is over here on the 6-post, you notice you have you might have barely enough string wind, but it's kind of all boogered up, and then on the 5th string you got way too much. This might be okay, but it's just not wound properly. And then of course, you know, on the back here, your 1st, 2nd, 3rd strings, this is gonna give you tuning issues where your guitar, it's gonna be hard to keep your guitar in tune once you get the string stretched out. So at the end of the video, I'll make sure that we touch on this and just kind of show you that, how much string wind you really need around the posts. Alright, so we're just making sure everything back here is tight. We've tightened up the tuning machines back here. We've also tightened up that strap buttons to make sure everything is good there. Alright, I've mentioned it before and I'll mention it again. It is always a good idea to make sure your frets are all nice and dressed up. Ron did that here, and I always mention doing it. It's a good idea. Every time you got the strings off a guitar is the perfect time to oil the fretboard. Keeps it looking nice, keeps the wood from drying out, and as we've mentioned before, and you can see right here, every time they do a string change on a guitar, man, the guys over here at Pace Guitar Repair will oil the fretboard by hand. Alright, so this guitar I just found out is also in here due to some warranty issues, because it needed to be adjusted in different ways other than just having it set up. And as Ron sits here and restrings it, I'm hoping that you'll be able to see if the camera will focus, and yes it does. You can see like this little, looks like a white line or some cloudiness right here. That's where the bridge was glued back onto the body, and it just kind of missed its mark. You can really tell over here. But apparently it's been in and out of other repair shops multiple times, for this exact issue. I know I've mentioned this in other videos, and it's not because I have a biased opinion of Pace Guitar Repair, but you really, really, really need to be careful which repair shop you choose to work on your guitars, because there's a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. Alright, so as I mentioned before in the video, we talked about string wind around the post. This is what I would consider, and what they consider at Pace Guitar Repair, to be the appropriate amount of string wind. This is going to ensure your guitar is going to stay in tune with itself as well as everything else around it. So there you go. I told you I'd touch on it later in the video, and we just did. This Martin's looking great. We're going to do one more test on it as far as playing it. Fretboard looks good. Saddle looks great. We're going to do one more test and we're going to get it out of here. There you go.